Coming up on UCF Nightly News, UCF updates its COVID-19 dashboard weekly. Find out why the recent update is concerning some students.
The Orange County government is supplying an additional $30 million in funding to the CARES Act. Find out what Mayor Demings has to say on the overwhelming amount of signups.
And what some Trump supporters at a recent rally think about wearing masks.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Lauren Margolis.
And I'm Charlotte Trattner. Today is Friday, October 16th, 2020. The Supreme Court is delaying the approval of Judge Amy Coney Barrett after this past week's confirmation hearings. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted Thursday to delay Coney Barrett's nomination approval by 1 week. The hearings covered Coney Barrett's stances on several key voting issues like gay marriage, immigration laws, and abortion rights. She faced questioning from the Republican and Democratic senators on the committee. If approved, Coney Barrett would be the third Supreme Court justice appointed by President Donald Trump and the fifth woman to ever hold the justice position. Coney Barrett is expected to be approved before November 3rd's general election.
Here is your coronavirus update. UCF officials report over 1,000 positive student cases since the start of the semester. Statewide, as of today, the Florida Department of Health reports over 748,000 positive cases and more than 16,000 deaths. And nationally, Johns Hopkins University reports over 7.9 million cases and more than 217,000 deaths.
Positive COVID-19 cases are going up across the country and at UCF. Nightly News reporter Montealegre tells us why.
The latest UCF COVID-19 update says student positive cases more than doubled over the past week. UCF's COVID-19 dashboard shows 152 new student cases for the week ending on October 10th, compared to 30 cases from the previous week. Associate Vice President of Student Health Services, Dr. Michael Rican, says contact tracing shows many recent cases lead back to small gatherings.
10, 12, 20 people get together and they feel a sense of safety because they know each other and so on and so forth. But it just takes one person and the others get infected. So
he says a lot of those gatherings were watch parties for UCF's most recent football game.
Dr. Rican also says that contact tracing references bars, such as Knight's Pub, where students take their mask off to drink and forget to put it back on.
While some students say they simply don't care about the rise in cases and insist bars stay open, other students find this coronavirus update alarming, saying the increase in positive cases is concerning them. Senior Human Communications major Larson Godfrey says the solution is to crack down on these social gatherings and enforce COVID-19 protocol.
Just kind of returning more to those, but I guess with a bit more seriousness about it. I think it was kind of, half-baked in the execution from the beginning. I think if we just took it a bit more seriously and actually committed, we might be able to see more, see less cases.
With another UCF game coming up this weekend, Dr. Rican is reminding students to stay safe.
keep the mask up as long as possible. When the mask goes down, the risk goes up.
In Orlando, Montealegre, UCF Nightly News.
UCF is continuing efforts to control the spread of COVID-19 by providing an on-campus testing site and a free mask for each student.
President Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail after recovering from COVID-19. I was at the latest Trump rally in Florida where I got the chance to speak to many supporters about their opinions on face masks.
Great to be back in my home state, Florida, to make my official return to the campaign trail.
That is President Trump speaking to a crowd of mostly maskless people in Sanford on Monday. Thousands of people wait in line for hours to see the president at his rallies, many standing much closer than 6 feet apart. Out of the few people wearing masks, one man says he was only wearing one as an accessory.
Yeah, I'm only wearing a mask because it goes with my flag. I'm not wearing a mask for protection.
Another woman at the rally says she believes people should have a choice on whether or not to wear a mask in public.
I'm still out here trying to protect myself, so I guess everybody can do their own thing.
So how much protection does a mask really give if you're in a big crowd? Assistant Professor of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering Michael Kinzel says masks will work best at protecting you if everyone nearby is wearing one. Kinzel says masks are used to stop the spread of droplets that are in the air through speaking, coughing, and sneezing. He says he's researching ways to make masks more effective.
I would say that a regular mask is limited in its ability to protect you, and it more is to protect your neighbor.
The CDC is still recommending the use of face masks. Most public places require masks in an effort to prevent the spread of COVID-19. However, an email for the Sanford Trump rally says masks at the events are encouraged, not required. In Orlando, Lauren Margolis, UCF Nightly News. Trump is coming back to Florida today, speaking in counties across the state. Democratic nominee Joe Biden is also visiting Florida this week. Biden refers to Trump's events as super spreaders.
Wearing a mask continues to divide the country. Studies show that many factors contribute to the anger and conflict surrounding mask mandates. Some say the idea of wanting to regain freedom and the feeling of inconvenience are amongst these. UCF psychology professor Jason Chestnut tells us that one of the main underlying factors behind this behavior is fear.
We don't like to show fear. Primates evolved to hide fear. And so for some, wearing a mask says, I'm afraid I'm going to catch it. And so that's uncomfortable to show the world you're afraid.
Chestnut says trying to be empathetic when asking another person to wear a mask can reduce fear and diffuse tension. UCF continues to require the wearing of masks indoors and outdoors on campus.
The Orange County government continues to provide support to its residents with new funding for its programs. Nightly News reporter Stephen Parchment has more on this.
The Orange County government is allocating an additional $30 million in funding to the Individuals and Family Assistance Program. The program provides eligible residents a one-time payment of $1,000 to pay for any of their expenses. Earlier this week, the official CARES Act website quickly reached its capacity, causing the sign-up portal to close just 45 minutes after going online. In the weekly Orange County COVID update, Mayor Jerry Demings addressed the capacity issues.
The portal closed down at 8:45 a.m. when it reached the 10,000 user capacity that we anticipated. That 45-minute period is representative of the immense need for financial assistance.
The issue of not being able to sign up for this program can be worrisome to most residents. UCF student Shane Marshall was recently furloughed from his job and is trying to apply for the CARES Act, but hasn't had any luck.
I was up at 8 a.m. trying to sign up on the website, but it kept crashing. And every time I tried to reload the page, it just wouldn't load. And by the time I actually did get into the portal, it already shut down.
Marshall says that he hopes that the 10,000 user capacity limit can be expanded to allow more residents to apply.
Since the CARES Act portal is going to shut down after reaching its 10,000 user limit, it's recommended you have as many devices open and on standby, just in case of any potential website crashes.
In Orlando, Stephen Parchment, UCF Nightly News.
The official Orange County CARES Act website portal will open again on Saturday, October 24th at 8 a.m. to continue taking applications. For more information, visit ocfl.net.
Hey Natalie, what's the weather looking like right now?
Yeah, Charlotte, today's weather is a high of 89 and humidity of 72 degrees. And north winds at 5 miles an hour and 20% chance of rain. Tonight, the low is a 70 degrees and the humidity of 82 and east-northeast winds at 5 miles an hour and a 10% chance of rain. That's all I have for you guys. Back to you guys.
Coming up next, find out why experts say comments from political officials can affect election results.
Plus, find out how Puerto Ricans in the U.S. play an important role in this year's presidential election. November 3rd is less than a month away, and U.S. senators are expressing how they think the 2020 election will play out. Nightly News reporter Jenna Ehrlich tells us how these comments may impact voters.
Senator Ted Cruz is making headlines for saying that the Republican Party could majorly win or lose the 2020 election, comparing the loss to the midterms after Nixon's Watergate scandal. The Real Clear Politics 2020 Electoral College map shows that in most major battleground states, President Trump is currently trailing behind Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. UCF political science professor Aubrey Jewett says though it is important to pay attention to comments being made by political figures, the election outcome is still up in the air.
At this point, lots of different outcomes are still possible, including Republicans losing in a big way, Republicans actually gaining seats and surprising a lot of people, or something that's very close and pretty much the status quo.
Republican Party supporter Nick Burns says that people should not cast their ballot based on politicians' comments, but should do their own research on who they're voting for.
When you're voting, you're not voting for one singular person. You're also voting for a set of ideas and beliefs and a team of people.
Democratic Party supporter Katie Fitzpatrick says regardless of the comments being made, people will vote based on who they believe will be better for our nation.
In this election, I feel like people vote for Trump or vote for Biden solely, if not majorly, based on their ethical, moral, or values-based reasoning.
Professor Jewett says those voting should
be informed, listen to all these things, but in the end, just decide who you think is the best candidate.
In Orlando, Jenna Ehrlich, UCF Nightly News.
To get the latest political coverage for this election season, visit nsm.today.
Both presidential campaigns are focusing on winning swing states. President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden have their eyes set on winning Florida, a major swing state. Both campaign trails are scheduling multiple events in Florida leading up to the election in hopes of securing the state's vote. Florida can be won by either party, and back in 2016, the Republican Party won Florida by only a 1.3 difference. Governmental Affairs Coordinator Meg Hall says the student vote can make a huge impact on who wins.
Ultimately, if only half of us voted, that's only about 35,000 students versus 70,000 students if 100% of us made it to the polls, and that's a small city, and that absolutely is an election. 30,000 votes is several elections.
Hall encourages students to have a plan to vote early because their impact on the election will depend on their voter turnout. Trump is having another appearance today in Ocala at 4 p.m. as he continues his campaign trail. With Election Day coming up, Nightly News coordinator Hector Garcia de Leon tells us how Puerto Ricans in the U.S. play an important role.
The governor of Puerto Rico is endorsing President Donald Trump as he prepares to grant $13 billion in funding to reconstruct the island. The island's governor is urging Puerto Ricans in the states to vote because the Electoral College system prevents residents on the island from voting in the presidential election.
I was honored to receive the endorsement of the governor of Puerto Rico. Can you believe that? Wanda Vasquez-Garcet.
Trump also plans to rebuild the pharmaceutical industry on the island in an effort to create more jobs that will better Puerto Rico and the U.S. The UCF Puerto Rico Research Hub reports that over 400,000 Puerto Ricans live here in Central Florida, and with Florida being a swing state, the presidential candidates are fighting to end their vote. Democratic nominee Joe Biden recently announced his potential plans to help the island if he becomes president. He says he will boost the education system and revive the island's economy.
I'll make sure Puerto Ricans finally get all the recovery funding it was allocated years ago it should have gotten. Not just part of it, 6 weeks before the election.
Pew Research shows that Latinos make up 1 in 5 voters in Florida, and nearly 2.4 million Latinos have registered to vote for this upcoming election. In Orlando, Hector Garcia, UCF Nightly News.
Although people living in Puerto Rico cannot vote for a president, they will have their election, which will decide if they can become a U.S. state or remain a U.S. territory.
Coming up, the first UCF hotel, Celeste, is now open, and we'll give you a look inside. Plus,
the story of a UCF alumna in the fight of her life and how that fight looks different during COVID-19.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Nightly News reporter Taylor Toole tells us how COVID-19 is affecting the screening and treatment process of this disease.
My 7-year-old little girl keeps asking me, Mommy, when are you getting your hair back? Mommy, are you going to have hair for my birthday?
That's Charlene Miranda, a UCF alumna and mother of 2. She was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer 9 months after giving birth to her second child and during the peak of the coronavirus pandemic. Miranda says that many of her friends and family members offer their support, but even with the best care from doctors, COVID-19 regulations have her feeling alone.
Chemo is like a 4 or 5 hour ordeal, and it is not being fun. It is not a fun ordeal. I mean, you're being infused with toxins, which are essentially poison. And it would be nice to have a family member or friend with you.
Miranda tells me her husband could attend her earlier appointments virtually, via FaceTime. But she says it wasn't the same. Doctors say that while it might not be the ideal situation for patients, it helps keep everyone safe. Orlando Health breast surgical oncologist Dr. Danielle Henry says that breast cancer screenings were suspended for safety reasons at the height of the pandemic, creating a backlog of patients. But she says the full effects of COVID-19 on breast cancer treatment have yet to be seen.
We're now seeing that patients have resumed screening. However, we are also seeing a lot of advanced diagnosed breast cancers. And the true impact of COVID-19 on breast cancer will ultimately be determined in the coming months and maybe even years.
Though breast cancer is less common in younger women, Miranda stresses that they should still complete self-checkups and meet with a doctor if they find anything suspicious.
It only takes a few minutes to check. Checking can save your life. So I would rather check and find nothing than check and find something.
In Orlando, Taylor Toole, UCF Nightly News.
For more information about breast cancer symptoms, screening, and treatment, you can visit breastcancer.org.
UCF Homecoming is next week, but this year's celebration is going to look a little different. UCF still plans to celebrate Homecoming 2020, but in a safe and socially distanced way. The university is postponing some big crowd events such as Comedy Night and Spirit Splash until next year. Many students say they will be missing some of the homecoming traditions. Criminal justice major Jeffrey Mercado says he's been participating in Spirit Splash every year at UCF and wishes the university could have still held the annual tradition somehow.
They could have done without the ducks, I guess, because the actual event itself is pretty cool to look at. Because, you see the football team, they're all getting hyped up for the game. Cheerleaders, doing their stunts.
UCF says it will still be hosting events like movie night and a fireworks show. Both of those will be in person and socially distanced on Memory Mall, or you can watch them virtually at home. Homecoming week will be from October 19th to the 24th. To find out more information, you can check out the UCF Homecoming Facebook page.
UCF's first hotel on campus, the Celeste Hotel, is now open. Nightly News reporter Lexi Vasquez shows us an inside look.
Space-themed hotel launches off its first week with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The hotel is decked out in all things celestial in honor of UCF's historical connection to space exploration. There's a restaurant called the Aurora, there's conference rooms, and a ballroom for festivities. The hotel rooms feature UCF student-designed artworks to add to the space theme. Celeste also comes with a saltwater pool and a small gym for guests. Rich Melodecki, president of Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association, says there's going to be many memories and opportunities at Celeste.
From weddings to reunions to sports teams staying here to the opportunity for employment.
Junior at Rosen College, Millie Riviera, who works at the Celeste Hotel, says she's grateful for the experience and working closely with the managers.
I can learn more from the managers, and from a perspective, I could grow up from there, after college. I can keep growing and advancing and hopefully get to where I want to be.
Mark Tomlinson, general manager of the Celeste Hotel, says they have a small but mighty team and 80% of their staff is UCF students. Sarah Emke, director of sales and marketing, says that their goal right now is to get the UCF community and others involved.
Is to getting the local community, not just UCF, but our surrounding community and our neighborhoods and our families to know that we're here, to know that they're welcome.
Sarah says that tonight they have a live band performing at their Endeavor event lawn at 6 p.m. for those who want to enjoy the atmosphere. In Orlando, Lexi Vasquez, UCF Nightly News.
Celeste offers a year-round discounted rate for friends, family, and alumni. There's also a STARS program for UCF faculty and staff for discounts off food and beverages. And Natalie, please tell me we're going to have a sunny weekend. What's the weather looking like?
Yeah, Charlotte. So in Florida, Tallahassee is at 84 degrees. In Jacksonville, it's an 87. In Orlando, it's an 89. And in Miami, it's a 70. And the low in Tallahassee is a 54. In Jacksonville, it's a 64. In Tampa and Orlando, it's a 70. And in Miami, it's a 78. Now let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. On Saturday, it's an 85 and the low in a 72 and a 20% chance of rain. On Sunday, there's a 85 and a low of 72 and a 30% chance of rain. On Monday, it's an 86 and a low of 73 and a 30% chance of rain. On Tuesday is an 86 and a 73 and a 30% chance of rain. On Wednesday is an 85 and a 73 and a 30% chance of rain. Now back to you guys.
Coming up in sports, find out how some football fans feel about the loss to Tulsa and what we can look forward to this weekend.
Good afternoon, Knights fans. I'm Brendan Schaefer, and here's your UCF Sports Update. The UCF football team is headed to Memphis for a game at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. This is their first game following the upset from Tulsa on October 3rd, where the Golden Hurricanes defeated the Knights 34-26. Players and coaches received some backlash on social media following the loss, with some fans saying the athletic department should fire head coach Josh Heupel. But UCF football fan Erin Purdue says she has been a fan since 1995, and seeing some of the negative comments following the loss upset her. She says she will always support the Knights and their coaches.
Tech game, I'm going to the Memphis game, going to the Houston game, and you don't miss UCF games. Yeah. They're great, they're fun, and you want to support your team.
Purdue says winning this game against Memphis is critical for the Knights if they want a shot at a Big Six bowl game this year. In their last matchup with Memphis, UCF got the dub with a score of 31-30. Tune in tomorrow to ABC or 96.9 The Game to see if your Knights come out on top. And that's all the time we have for sports today. Back to you, Lauren and Charlotte.
That's our time for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website, nsm.today.
And if you've got a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynews@ucf.edu. Thanks for watching and have a good day.